This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I come in, sir?
Please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Swapnil. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So you are from Hingoli.
Yes, sir.
And a mechanical engineer.
Sir.
There is a Nagnath temple in Hingoli. Is there any significance of that?
Sir, it's a Jyotirlinga.
What do you mean by Jyotirlinga?
Sir, Jyotirlinga, from what I know, is a temple of Shiva. There's a rich mythological history, sir, which says that Lord Shiva appeared as a light at few places on earth. That is called as Jyotirlinga.
So is there enough demand for the temple for people going there?
Yes, sir. From the times that I have went and I have experienced, there's always huge crowd at that place.
You are a mechanical engineer. If you see the intake in the three engineering streams like in civil, electrical and mechanical, the intake has reduced by 10% from previous year. So you think there is any reason for decrease in the intake, and should we have more holistic subjects like structural engineering and electronics and communication, things like that, or you think we should continue with civil, electrical and mechanical?
Sir, as for reasons, other branches like computer and IT, they have become really popular, especially after the rise of service sector and IT sector in India. So that is one reason, sir. Even the electronics industry boom and Silicon Valley boom, that contributed to rise of electronics over electrical and mechanical. And sir, higher packages in IT, because essentially we are exporting the services and we are earning in dollars. That means higher packages will be given to these IT employees. That is also one of the reasons, sir. And as far as changing the courses, sir, I think what we are studying in undergraduate level in civil electrical is of a very basic nature. This forms a foundation for students, and I think it's necessary that we learn foundations, because afterwards, if we want to do MTech or PhD later, we can always do it in a more interdisciplinary manner, like in renewable or mechatronics. Therefore, I think for basics of mechanical, we should continue with the undergraduate courses.
How do you think if we have a dual course system? You do BTech and MTech in mechatronics. BTech mechanical, MTech in mechatronics. How do you think this will work?
So this will be the best course for students, because I think engineering has always been interdisciplinary, and a mechanical engineer who doesn't have knowledge of electronics or IT would not be a very good engineer.
So can we combine these subjects, civil, electrical, in the initial first 2 years of the course, and then plan the next 2 years as specializations?
Sir, we can bring such a course. Even now we learn basic civil, basic electrical engineering as mechanical engineering students. And if we specialize, sir, during last 2 years based on some committee recommendation or some expert study, then that would be a very good idea.
Okay. So the budget 23 talked about green growth.
Yes, sir.
Since you are an engineer, I would like to know what are the inputs from an engineering perspective in the green growth budget.
Sir, first, as our energy strategy says, we need more alternate sources like, say, hydrogen or biofuels, sir, ethanol blending. So these can be applied. We have a target of 20% ethanol blending by 2025. So that can be ramped up. Renewable energy, like currently around 42% of our energy comes from renewable energy. And we are adding 1 gigawatt of energy per month. That can be scaled up to increase our demand, and our goal of Panchamitra of making 500 gigawatts by 2030. Apart from it, sir, electrical vehicles have a great future, especially because it will first increase our energy security, because we are energy dependent on other countries. And on the other hand, it will increase our domestic capacity of production. So that this is another reason, sir. Then micro hydro power plants, that can also be a very good solution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Hello, Swapnil.
Hello, sir.
You've taken sociology as your optional.
Yes, sir.
What prompted you to take sociology?
Sir, when I graduated from college, I found myself completely unaware of all the issues like inequality or caste-based inequalities, gender discriminations. And I felt that it was essential for an administrator to learn about these things, because essentially a job of an administrator is to serve the weaker sections of population. And there was another reason, sir, that many subjects in UPSC, they were of social science nature. And since I was a science student, I felt it necessary to have understanding of nuances of social science subject.
Do you think the reservation policy has served its purpose so far?
Yes, sir, definitely. After independence, we had very few representations of people from weaker sections in government. So that has significantly gone up from the time of independence. But sir, there is issue also because at higher levels, at secretariat level or at ambassador level, there are very few people from depressed community. So I understand that more needs to be done, but I agree to what we are done is very fruitful.
What all?
Actually, is it a reservation, EWS? Or only SC, ST, OBC qualifies as a reservation?
Sir, I think EWS is also a reservation.
Okay. And don't you think that the benefits of reservation is being restricted only to a select few people who have passed on the benefits to later generations?
Yes, sir, definitely. That is one of the contentions, sir. Honorable Dickey Chairman has said once that reservation is like an aeroplane ramp up. It allows us to take off. But if the few aeroplanes continue to take on the place, then other aeroplanes will not be able to take up. So that is the case in SC/STs because of non-creamier policy. Only few groups of people have.
So if you have to make some reforms in the reservation policy, what would you recommend?
Sir, first I would definitely recommend the subcategorization as suggested by Honorable Rohini Commission, sir, within OBCs. And even in SC/STs, with thorough consultations, I would like to introduce a creamy layer policy because even the Supreme Court has been in the favor of this. Apart from it, sir, a better understanding of how castes in India are there, maybe a caste census to understand how much we have improved and what more needs to be done, that can also be done.
Okay. What do you understand by the term secularization of caste?
Sir, secularization means moving something away from religious to a more secular type. Castes earlier had their genesis and origin within the Hindu system. But when we are secularizing, we are essentially meaning that it has become more of a secular idea. It's not...
Are you aware of it or you're just making a guess? So you have to tell me that you're making a guess. Okay. Anyway, you like watching movies on social issues. Why specifically social issues?
Sir, for few reasons. One is it helps me understand the problems.
Why do you always have to understand something? You can watch a movie for just for taking your mind off from things that worry you.
Yes, sir, definitely. I mean, first I used to watch action movies and crime thriller drama movies. But eventually, sir, I try to find more of a realism in movies where I can relate to the movies rather than just having an adrenaline rush.
Okay. And who are your favorite directors for movies on social issues?
Sir, Marathi director Nagaraj Manjule is one of my favorites.
Can you tell me one of his favorite famous movies?
Sir, he makes movies on social issues only. Sairat, Fandry, these are few of the movies.
What was the Hindi adaptation of Sairat?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm forgetting the name. I've watched the movie.
Which movie was given the national award this time?
Sir, Jhund is the movie.
Okay. What was the theme? Have you seen that movie? What was the theme?
Sir, the movie is about problems that children from slums face and how they're discriminated by larger society. And it's also a classic, sir, because unlike earlier Nagaraj Manjule movies, This movie was meant for more of a populist or could be watched by majority sections because it had a very good love story and other things.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Swapnil.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So, hello, Swapnil.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Swapnil, can you tell me who administers the oath to the president?
I'm sorry, sir. I'll have to read.
Okay, no issues. So, when does the president addresses the parliament?
Sir, it's on two occasions. One is during the first session of every year, and one is after the re-election of parliament.
So, say during the first session of the year, the president generally, is, and the session is also going on, right? So, president generally reads out what is given by the government. Can she add something on her own or skip a part of the speech?
I'm sorry, sir. I can make a guess, but I'm not.
Okay.
So probably not.
Okay.
I think it's the government's prerogative.
Government's prerogative. So, how about governor? Can they also, do they have this leeway?
Sir, according to the rules of House, governor does not have the leeway.
Is it convention or is it a rule? Is it written somewhere that the governor or the president have to read out exactly what has been given to them and they cannot add anything on their own? Or is it just a convention?
I'm sorry, sir. I'll have to read it.
Okay. Okay. So you are from Maharashtra. So what is the status of farm suicides right now? Have they decreased? Have they stayed same, or have they increased over the last few years? Because Maharashtra is actually notorious for, large number of farm suicides.
Sir, I'm not aware of the status of farmer suicide, but I know that every year around 10,000 of the farmer suicides happen. Out of them, 35% are from Maharashtra.
So why do you think, this percentage is so high in Maharashtra? I mean, in lots of Indian states, agriculture is the main, in fact, all over India, agriculture is the main occupation. So why so large number of suicides in Maharashtra only?
Sir, the first major reason is, sir, lack of irrigation. Compared to rest of the India, where irrigation is around 49%. In Maharashtra, it's only at 19%. And in Vidarbha and Marathwada, only at 12 and 13%. Second is, sir, cotton cultivation is the major culprit because around 80% of the farmer suicides happen in cotton belt. And the rises of the input prices of cotton seeds, they have been rising continuously. But the price that the farmer gets is very low. And sir, there's third reason. According to NCRB report, farm suicides in states like West Bengal and Bihar have been zero for a few years. That shows that there's a major issue in data collection in many of the states in India. So that is also the reason why Maharashtra continues to lead.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Swapnil. I'll pass on to the next panel member.
So, Swapnil, you mentioned that you practice Vipassana meditation. I think you are following this Goenka sir's technique or some different technique?
Sir, Goenka sir.
All right. But I think minimum 1 hour Vipassana is prescribed. 10 to 20 minutes you can do Anapana only.
Yes, sir.
So, precisely what you are doing? Anapana or Vipassana?
Sir, I start with Anapana, but then I move to Vipassana.
In 10 minutes you finish the whole thing?
Sir, I try to finish based on the time constraints, sir.
Okay. Right. And this Vipassana technique as Goenka ji has brought it from Burma. Am I right? Tell me one thing. This whole Buddhist practices were Indian. Buddha was that way, Indian. Why they were finished from India and went to Thailand and we had to take from that? Reason behind that?
Sir, post-Buddhism, Hinduism was majorly dominant in India and later Islam became dominant.
So you mean to say prior to Buddhism, Hinduism was not dominant?
Sir, even before Buddhism, there was before sir Vedic philosophy was dominant. Then there was a time which was for Buddhism under the leadership of Lord Ashoka and other rulers. Essentially more an empire, sir. But later the Buddhist practices, they subsided under Hindu practices or Islamic or even Bhakti Sufi traditions. So that is possibly one reason.
Okay. You come from agriculture background. We often hear the concept from Maharashtra, that is zero-based natural farming. What's that?
So zero budget natural farming is the idea that a farmer should not have to pay anything for the seeds or for the inputs of all the crops. Everything is taken from the earlier crop. As fertilizers, they use animal products. As weedicides or pesticides, they use animal products. They're called Jiva Mitra and Bija Mitra, if I'm not wrong, sir. And that is the idea, sir. Basically, it would reduce input costs and therefore increase the profits.
Can we call this technique as successful and practical technique in terms of overall Indian agriculture scenario?
Sir, the results are more of a mixed bag of success. At some places it has been successful, and state governments like Andhra Pradesh have the target of making it essentially part of the entire state's agriculture. But at the same time, sir, researchers have warned about the food security issues and the overall farm benefits issues about this.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Thank you.
So Swapnil, it was very nice to talk to you. You come as a very balanced candidate, especially when sir asked you about, Vipassana should be made mandatory. You gave a very balanced answer. You said that it should be left to the, it shouldn't be mandatory. It should be left to the choice. So this kind of balanced approach is always good. You are very articulate. You speak in a very polite manner. So all the best from my side.
Thank you.